audit, and then we will see something about the instruments. Last time I told you, we showed you a picture of some instruments, and there were no names of those instruments given. So this class will just tell you the names of these different instruments we use for doing an energy audit. So I now go on to my PPT, but before that, I think we may have to take the attendance. So no, I think I'll go into the PPT first. Yes. So energy audit. We looked into last class. We looked into how these energy audits are done. I showed you the various uh, formats or the way tabulations, etc. were done. So let's look at slightly more on really what is the use of this energy audit. So what is the need for an energy audit? Why do we have to do an energy audit? So an energy audit is an inspection, survey and analysis of energy flows for energy conservation in a building, process or system to reduce the amount of energy input into the system without negatively affecting the outputs. So it's a bit long sentence. We'll again go over that again. It is an inspection, survey and analysis. Three things: inspection, survey, analysis of what? Of energy flows for energy conservation in a building, process or system. So in a building, process or system, to reduce the amount of energy input into the system without negatively affecting the outputs. So we want the same outputs, okay, but the energy we want to reduce. So in commercial and industrial real estate, an energy audit is the first step in identifying opportunities to reduce energy expense and carbon footprints. Yeah. So mostly in industries or commercial thing, they are very particular that we have to reduce the expenses on energy. Not only that, also reduce the carbon footprint. That means pollution, so many other things that affects the environment. So what all does an energy audit achieve? So we have some 3 points here. One is it can help determine the energy wasting deficiencies. So you can find out through this where really energy is being wasted. B is it can show exactly how to address those problems. So once you have identified where the energy is being wasted, now how to overcome that, how to take care of that issue, the energy audit can show. And it can also tell how much money and energy can be saved each year. Okay? So if you save energy, definitely you are saving money. So this is the purpose of an energy audit. You would have found the audit you would have found audits being done in so many offices. Annual audit is there before they submit to the income tax, or so many other things. Always audit is done. Audit is going through some particular thing and trying to find out what went wrong, why it is more here, why it is less there. Similarly, for energy also, an energy audit is essential. So this was a picture we looked at last week. A minute, I seem to have some issues with my mouse. Yeah. So this is the picture we looked at last week. You can see different things like a gun, the regular meters you can see. So what are all these things? What are the names of these things? What are the purposes of these instruments? Okay. So we'll show you another. Yeah, this is some more energy audit instruments. Now, to name these instruments, we'll look at the next slide. Okay. So one is an anemometer. So what is this anemometer? It is for measuring the flow of fluid. So these are fluid flow measuring instruments. As energy audit tools, they are most commonly used to measure air flow from heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. The second instrument that we have here is ultrasonic flow meters. So they are used to estimate fluid flow without having to penetrate piping. Yeah. So if when a fluid is flowing through a pipe, you cannot see the fluid flowing because of its uh, not being transparent. Only if some glass or something is there, it can be visible. So that's what it says. It is used to estimate the fluid flow without having to penetrate piping. You don't have to inject something to know whether it's flowing. So they use the frequency shift experienced by an ultrasonic signal as it is reflected by bubbles or particles. That is discontinuities. So if there is no continuity, it can easily tell you entrained by a flowing fluid. Okay, so reflected by bubbles or particles entrained by a flowing fluid. The magnitude of the frequency shift is indicative of the velocity of the fluid. Okay, so what is the velocity? The speed, okay, at which the fluid is flowing. So we have another known as the hygrometer. So this is for measuring moisture content in the atmosphere. So you want to know what's the humidity. You use a hygrometer. They use sensors which react to varying levels of humidity by causing a physical change in a material which changes its electrical properties. The material's electrical property is calibrated to humidity. So this is basically nothing but measuring the moisture content in a particular environment, in a particular atmosphere. So suppose in some particular areas, because of the humidity not being as per the required for a particular function, because it not being having the correct humidity, then energy could be used more than what it is really needed. So suppose there is some machine or something that is consuming some amount of energy per hour under a particular uh, humidity level room, okay, then to give its best performance. And so you use this meter to check up that whether the humidity is correct for that, for the machine's performance. Otherwise the machine might not be performing correctly, might